You say there's nothing you can do.
Great.
I remember when the first time that we did this with, the first time I did it with Marcella, we were actually sitting right here. So this is kind of like, bringing back all the memories of just that was like back in like pre-March, like maybe January. I don't know. Anyway, we are here for live. We are here with Angie Silipigno. Is that right? Okay, cool. And she is the executive director of Ballsfest, which let's just assume no one knows what Ballsfest is. Tell us what this organization is and how you got started.
Okay, so Ballsfest is a nonprofit organization that supports local pediatric oncology patients. So our mission is to lift the spirits of children, young adults, and families affected by cancer. I previously worked at the Melody Center for Childhood Cancer at Albany Med as a child life specialist, and I'll assume that most people don't know what a child life specialist is either.
Yes, I have no clue.
So I helped kids cope with their diagnosis. I would use play and other therapeutic avenues to try and teach them about their diagnosis, prepare them for tests and procedures, do sibling support, help siblings understand what just happened to their family, why has their life been turned upside down, and then working with families to help connect them with resources, because obviously a cancer diagnosis is life-changing and just throws everyone into like a tailspin, and so just really trying to find ways to connect them with everything they need so they're not feeling like they're floundering out there alone.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you go to school for psychiatry or just...
So my background is in psychology and education, and so a child life specialist is kind of an expert in child development with the healthcare experience kind of partnered together.
Okay, cool. So you worked was it for Albany Med or the Melody? It's all the same thing, basically.
Yeah, so the Melody
you're an employee of the hospital.
Yeah, the Melody Center is part of Albany Med, and it's the only pediatric oncology center in the area, and they serve 25 counties. So all of our local families, when you hear about a child being diagnosed, they're going to the Melody Center for treatment. And so when I worked there, I worked with a lot of the other local organizations, and Ballsfest was one that I was connected to through a family. Their child had been a part of Ballsfest one year, and they said, oh, you should connect with Angie. She can help you find other kids. And so I met the founder, Frank DeBlasi. He actually lives in Arizona. And we had a phone conversation, and I was like, I can help you get connected. He had hosted an annual party in the park in Saratoga. It usually is in conjunction with the Dave Matthews concert, same weekend. So it's a big pre-party for a lot of concert goers.
Yeah.
And kids were brought to this event and recognized on stage and presented with a special gift or experience.
Oh,
and
cool.
So as soon as I learned about the organization, I loved it. And I love just the fact that the kids get to have this awesome thing to look forward to during a really difficult time. And the first time I went to the event, I was like, I go to a lot of events, but there's something really special about this. It was kind of like a roller coaster of emotion. 1 second you're laughing, 1 second you're crying. And, to see these kids kind of run up on stage and be the center of attention for that moment in time and have people clapping for them and cheering them on. It was just really amazing and so powerful. And so in 2018, Frank had mentioned that he was interested in expanding kind of the footprint here locally. And at the same time, I had been considering taking a step back from the day-to-day clinical stuff at the hospital.
Because it's gotta be like emotionally draining to deal with like just families in that season of life where it's like, okay, my kid just got cancer. I may have another kid that I'm managing, raising, and, just like, it's got to be just emotionally draining.
It is, and you just, your heart just aches for the struggles that these families go through, and, it's like any person that come in, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like any person I would be friends with, or someone I know, and it can happen to anyone, and so instantly, and as a mom, like, your heart just hurts for these moms and dads, and so yeah, it takes a toll on you, but my heart is so connected to these families, and I just enjoy connecting with them and being a part of their journeys that I knew I could never leave for just any job. I knew I had to stay connected to these kids and families some way. So when Frank started talking, I was like, this might be the answer to my prayers. Like, this might be the thing. So one Saturday afternoon, we jumped on a call, and I was like, I think I could do this thing. I think I could be a part of Ballsfest. I could kind of like grow it here. I could use my connections and really, take my knowledge of the resources that are available and do year-round programs and supports. And so that all kind of started back in June of 2018 in that way.
Okay, cool. So Ballsfest did exist before 2018, and that's just when you took it over?
So it existed as a one-day party in the park to recognize the local kids. And then in 2018, we transitioned from that one-day event to now providing year-round support for families.
Cool. And this guy Frank, you said where he doesn't live here anymore?
He lives in Arizona.
Okay.
So he's originally an East Coaster.
Okay.
Went through his own cancer battle, and after that moved out to Arizona. Is a huge Dave Matthews fan, so that's kind of like when he completed his treatment, he started this kind of party after that to celebrate with his friends and family. He recognized the importance of having a strong support network, so that's really where this grew from, is knowing that not everyone has that, so can we build that community of support for families and have them feel kind of loved and carried through this difficult time. So
yeah. So Dave Matthews is just like in conjunction, or the band, or the concert?
It's like
the date.
The same weekend. We just always coincide with that weekend.
Okay, cool.
People come, they set up. We get one of the pavilions in the park, and people come and bring their lawn tents and their games and yard games and stuff, and people come and hang out with us. Be a part of our baller ceremony where the kids are recognized, and then they go on to the concert later. And
cool.
It's just a way for us to gather this huge group of people, and the event has literally grown to over 600 people each year. It's amazing, and it's really cool that everyone comes in under the pavilion for the ceremony. And this year we had a throne for the kids to come up, so they got to sit in this huge high back throne, and it was just really, really awesome.
Yeah, cool. So you become executive director of Ballsfest in 2018, and you take it to the next level. You're like, no, we're not going to just do one party. We're going to like bring it all full circle. So tell us more about some of the different events that you do at Ballsfest up until obviously this point. We'll talk about COVID too.
Sure. We want to try and always do things that are fun and unique and different. And so our party in the park is it's not a black tie event. It's come in your comfy clothes and hang out for a party. And then winters are so long here, but we have tons of like fancy formal events. So we're like, well, how can we draw a group together in the winter when you really don't want to go out in your heels and a long dress, but we do because we want to support the causes in the community. So the idea of a pajama party came up, an adult pajama party. So a couple of years ago, we hosted a late night adult pajama party at the Adelphi.
Oh my gosh, this is so much fun.
We really weren't sure what to expect, but we ended up with a great crowd, and there was something about people showing up in their pajamas. They were like ready to party, and it was, not a huge group, but you just felt this awesome energy, and people were in slippers, and you had people in like silky nightgowns, but then you had people in like their fuzzy fleece, comfy cozies, and it was just so awesome. So we did it this year for our second year, and it was a bigger and better crowd, and we do a combination of DJ and live music, and have a signature drink for the night, and people just come and hang out.
So was it in like the ballroom at the Adelphi and in the back section, or it's just
right in the we take the whole ballroom,
cool.
And we have a photo booth set up, and with all the props and stuff, and we bring some games, and like the silly games, you put the orange under your chin and try and pass it along, or putting cookies on your forehead and trying to get them in your mouth, just like the fun, silly like games that kids are playing at their sleepovers and stuff, and just to kind of like have people let loose and have fun for the night. And this past year I had some friends come and be like the game coordinators, and they did awesome, and they drew people in, and so it's just kind of finding like those fun and different ways to keep people engaged and do something that looks a little bit different than
Well, I love to have fun, and I think that you can find fun in everything. Currently we're finding fun in compliance and safety. So tell me how you are pivoting in like the period of time where like living in these COVID times. Obviously, like passing an orange to another person at an event is not going to be cool anymore. Right. So up until all this is over with. So are you still going to do a pajama party? Are you going to you probably didn't have the party in the park this summer.
No, unfortunately we couldn't. We waited until the last minute to cancel it. It was just heartbreaking to not be able to do that and have the opportunity to gather all of our past ballers and new ballers together. But the thing about that event that I love is just the community sense, and so really kind of just saying like, what can we do so our ballers still feel like their supporters are like rallying for them. And so midsummer I was kind of like, hey, what if we try and do a virtual 5K? And a lot of our team is on the West Coast, and they were like, what's a virtual 5K? And I'm like, well, everyone here is transitioning to virtual 5Ks, and so I'm a runner, so I was like, this seems like something I could pull off. It's not as involved as like mapping out a course and having to get timers and people to block the roads and stuff. So we put into place this virtual 5K, not really knowing, and I was like, gosh, I hope we get 50 people to sign up, and we ended up getting 464 people to participate.
Oh my gosh!
32 states across the country participated, and we raised a great amount of money. We were so excited, and the best part was like so you had a weekend in September where you participated, and we asked people to take pictures with their bibs and to post it with the hashtag. And all weekend long to see these pictures of people coming in and doing their race, and for our ballers to be able to see like, hey, someone in Wyoming ran for you this morning. Like, I felt like even though we couldn't be together, it was still an opportunity for people to kind of, do something to support these kids and these families, to say like, hey, even though we can't be right there to cheer you on in person and clap for you, we're clapping for you from a distance and really supporting you through your journey. So it was really awesome. So, it's like we've all been forced to have to be creative and come up with new ideas. And, Frank being in Arizona and us in New York, like we're kind of on different schedules in terms of like who's having a outbreak and who's on more lockdown. And so he's always calling and saying, hey, is it safe for us to do some kind of gathering there? And so really trying to like toe the line and find like when is it appropriate to do something. Obviously our kids have a compromised immune system, so it's not as easy to ask families to say, hey, do you want to get together for this event, even though we really want to do something. So right now I'm kind of from a distance supporting families. We drop packages off to the hospital with gift cards for families and activities for the kids to do when they're stuck in the hospital. And then just kind of like, doing reach outs periodically to say like, what do you need? And
I mean, so like right now, if you have a kid in the hospital, like, are you able to be with that child right now during COVID, or what are like the parameters of what treatment looks like right now?
Hospitals has one parent restriction right now, which is really hard because these families, if they're outpatient, they're going into clinic, and a lot of times they're traveling maybe 1 to 2 hours to get back and forth to clinic. And so, it's one parent being there, one parent maybe having to stay out in the car, or, then they can flip-flop, or only one parent being able to go. Overnight stays at the hospital, only one parent being able to be there. So it's a really hard time, and especially for families who are newly diagnosed, where they're getting bombarded with all this information. You need like that extra set of ears to take it all in because it's so overwhelming. And so finding that, like, how do we cope with only one, parent there? It has been, I've heard from a lot of families, extremely difficult. And for the Melody Center staff, they've shared it's really hard to say to a parent, I'm sorry, it's a hospital restriction, but the hospital just has to take every precaution, and obviously clinic has to be extra careful with the kids.
Absolutely.
But again, it's like redefining what that support looks like for families during a time when we're tremendously blessed in this community with so many awesome organizations, but we can't get to the families right now because of all the restrictions in place. So volunteers were all halted. I go into the clinic regularly to do activities with the kids. I wasn't able to go for several months. Actually just got back in a couple weeks ago and took ice cream. We did a big ice cream party, but again, it was, all socially distanced. We took orders from the kids when they were in their treatment rooms, delivered it to them, all packaged up and everything. So just, what can you do to make it fun for them still?
You gotta think creatively and don't stop, I think that that's the other piece of it is like, we just can't give up, we have to keep going and doing whatever we can in our power to, give support. So, so what looking forward, what do you need? Like, what do you need for support? I mean, like, are you gonna do, some sort of ceremony this year for the ballers?
We would love to still do some type of ceremony. Obviously, it will look drastically different. Typically, we have 6 or 7 ballers, in front of an audience of 600 people. We clearly can't do that, and it doesn't look like we'll be able to do that anytime soon. So is it, a smaller scale, where we bring one baller in at a time, which is their, little support network, and we do something special for them. We're just still kind of reevaluating that and really just talking to the medical staff to say, like, what do you think families are comfortable with? Obviously, we want to do something special for them, but we don't want them to feel uncomfortable with having to, say yes to us when they don't really feel like they can be in a group with, other people. So finding something that families can be comfortable with, but still allow us to bring some joy to them during this hard time. So we will do some version of something just because we want these kids to, have something to look forward to, and we want families to still feel supported.
So that's like the really feel good stuff, but the tangible things that you're gifting or, giving to the ballers and their families, like what does that look like? Is it money? Is it,
So gift cards are a huge help for families. When I worked at the hospital, that was one of the things that I did, was just kind of like pass out gift cards for families, whether it's Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, at the hospital cafeteria. Now Albany Med, there's several different restaurants around there, so
cool.
Getting gift cards for that, because you get tired of cafeteria food, and these families sometimes are in the hospital for
they're
weeks
living there
at a time,
basically.
and so it's like, to be able to give a gift card to a mom to say like, here, I'll sit next to your child and you go get a cup of coffee, or they're spending so much money just in gas cards are a huge thing.
Okay.
We make a donation along with other local organizations. When families are newly diagnosed, they get a bag kind of full of toiletries and an envelope full of gift cards just to say like, here's all the stuff you need in that initial kind of moment of shock. We don't want you to have to think about anything, so here's everything. So Ballsfest donates gas cards towards that. And, again, like I said, these families are coming from far and wide for treatment. You could be driving back and forth 5 times a week to Albany from Indian Lake or some crazy distance and, using gas. So really just to help kind of relieve the financial burden so parents can focus on what really matters most, their treatment of their child, and not have to worry about that. Gift cards for Amazon, so siblings at home can get special gifts and stuff. Patients always get like inundated with all these gifts, and you don't want the siblings to feel left out. So finding ways to support them as well is really, really important. So, we always look for donations of gift cards to be able to support families. But, like I said, now it's just dropping off activity kits for families, putting together bags of, toiletries and just necessities that they might need, so families don't have to use their own resources for that stuff.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to add or share, or what a cool organization to be a part of and such an impact you're making on the community? I mean, you must keep in touch with all these families like for years and years after.
I do. Yeah, it's crazy. Some of these kids you meet, you can be diagnosed when they're tiny babies, all the way through. So now to see some of the kids that I worked with and they were initially diagnosed at 2, turning 9 and 10, it's like, oh my gosh, look at how tall they've gotten, or look at how crazy. Or parents might reshare on Facebook like a video of them when they were little singing. I'm like, I remember that little voice. It's just really awesome to see these kids kind of growing and living life, and it's really remarkable. And part of what motivates me to just keep doing this is these kids are so resilient, and these families are so amazing. They're really like remarkable. Instantly upon diagnosis, they get, some of the support, and they're like, okay, this is really amazing that people are doing this. What can we do for other people? It's always like, what can we do now for others? And I'm like, wait, you're in the thick of it. You don't need to do for others right now. Just there'll be a time. But that's instantly it. Every single family I've ever worked with is always like, what can we do for the next family? It's just, it's crazy.
It's human nature, to want to take care of other people, and it's how I feel filled up is when I'm helping someone along in any way that I can. So, okay, so you have a big announcement to make.
I do have a big announcement.
And you haven't told me about the announcement. Let me just take somebody's messaging me. Okay, so tell me, I'm excited. I made sure you didn't tell me before so that I could it's natural. Okay. It's authentic. the reaction is authentic.
So, we have obviously been Ballsfest. Ballsfest started with Frank. Back in the beginning, it's a fun, catchy name. It gets, a lot of people to raise their eyebrows, like, what is this?
Yeah.
People call it Ballfest, Ballsfest. It's every variation of that. How is it connected to kids? There's always all these questions. It takes, a lot of explanation when people are looking at it. It doesn't necessarily make you think, like, Ballsfest equals pediatric oncology patients. And so making that connection. And so this pandemic really gave us an opportunity to kind of look at, like, we're seeing all these nonprofits struggling to stay afloat, and what are we going to do to be sustainable and kind of take our organization to the next level? And so we made the decision to change our name from Ballsfest. So official today, you are the first person to actually hear it because we're making our official announcement at noon on social media. Okay. So we're changing our name to the Baller Dream Foundation.
The Baller Dream Foundation. I love it.
Yeah. So what it does is takes it really. Our name now is about the stars of our show. Who and what we are all about is our ballers. And so now to have the baller part into the name, we're just really excited. And, our ballers have grown up and we're kind of ready to grow up too. You take that fun, playful name and we've turned it into something that's a little bit more, I think, sustainable through time, brings us to the next level with some of these really other awesome, credible organizations in the community. And we're just really excited about making the change and all that it means for us in the next couple, chapters for us too.
That's so exciting. So, and also it gives you a little more credibility, right? Foundation.
Yes.
It's like next level.
Yes.
And you can still have, I guess, Ballfest at the park, go to to
Yeah, so
Baller Dream
we
Foundation?
are gonna call the party in the park now Baller Bash.
Baller Bash. I
Yep.
love it.
Yeah.
Are you a marketing genius?
No.
This is awesome. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it all sounds amazing.
Yeah, so we'll have Baller Bash New York, we do a Baller Bash in Arizona, and we do a Baller Bash in Las Vegas. So we're just really excited, and of course our ballers will be our ballers always.
Yeah.
And you know, our logo is a hot air balloon with hearts and stars and little kids in the basket. And that will stay because our mission is still staying the same, to lift the spirits of the kids. But you know, we're deepening that commitment to the families. We're taking it to the next level. We just really want to, you know, like you said, growing credibility in the community and continue to expand the support. We're just that much more committed to what we're doing. So
Amazing.
it's exciting. You know, it's a little scary to do something different and make a big change. And we've worked really hard to make Ballsfest recognizable over the last few years. But I hope that this transition really gets, you know, people who are maybe hesitant of the name because it's a little out there, you know, will jump on board with us now.
Yeah, you know, I just think like this experience like changes everywhere, and you know, might as well adapt and change and go with the flow, you know, and just the momentum that everyone's kind of like on the precedent of a new thing, you know. So it's really exciting. And so, where can people learn more information, give you money, give you gift cards? Call you to support you because like what you're doing is so impactful, and thank you so much for all the work. But is it still ballersfest.org or
so effective today it's ballardream.org. We're on Facebook, Baller Dream, and Instagram, Baller Dream, and so people can check out what we've done. People can meet some of all of our ballers are featured on there with their story, the gifts that they've received, what our programs and support look like throughout the year. Obviously, there's a donation button there, so we would appreciate that.
Click the donate button. Give some money, honey.
Really, just for people who aren't familiar with us, take a couple minutes when you're, you know, bored and kind of scrolling through the internet and, you know, wasting a couple minutes. Check us out.
Yes.
There's some awesome, inspiring kids on there to meet, and you know, we're just going to continue to add more ballers to our community, and we hope that more supporters. And we're grateful for you, you know, taking the time to talk with me today.
Yeah, of course. I love
was
that.
a little nervous. I've seen the other women that you've had on here, and you've got some powerhouses in the community who
Well, look,
been on here.
I was just on a panel earlier with the chamber, and it's just we have a lot of power just in the capital region. You know, it's just incredible, and we have like this great exodus of New York City business. I mean, you know, people moving up here because we live in the safe and compliant and magical. Like, I just love the capital region. I mean, I'm originally from New Orleans, and, you know, it's a much different scene down there right now during COVID. So it's just, I love where I live, and anything that I can do to support the people who live here and are doing amazing things, like, I'm all about it. So thank you for sharing your story and your time. I want to meet this Frank. I want to go to Ballers Bash in Las Vegas. Or what part of Arizona is he in?
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale, yeah. We need, whenever, and this is, I think, again, the silver lining of all of this is when we're able to like start to travel and party again.
There's going to be such a long list of stuff to check off.
It's going to be like the Roaring 20s.
I know.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either. I was just saying yesterday, I cannot wait to get on a plane and travel. Just 2 years ago, right now was the first Las Vegas event, and my husband and I went out there, and you know, so all my members are popping up on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my gosh, to be there again, and you know, would be so amazing. But someday we will be, and you know, in the meantime, it's just kind of what can we do now to support families and just, you know, keep us all sane and continue to do good things.
Yeah, and there's always something to do. There's always somebody that needs help, that needs hope, and, you know, you have to do whatever you can. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. Again, go to, we'll leave the link in the comments, and see you guys soon. And we'll see you at the Ballers Bash soon, whenever that is again.